If I lack harmlessness and gentleness, that is one of the 20 universal ways of oneness. If I lack harmlessness and gentleness, the byproduct of that means I, in some way or ways, am going to cause harm to myself, to others on this planet. This is how energetics works. When you come from separation consciousness, which means you're causing harm, you don't know how or what you're doing or how you're causing harm to other people, and then you justify and you get defensive and all the crap that we love to show up as. That comes from separation consciousness. If you are a being becoming oneness consciousness, a being of oneness consciousness, evolving into that means I am willing to learn and become the vibrational frequency of harmlessness and gentleness. Harmlessness and gentleness is number 8 out of 20 of the 20 universal ways of oneness. If I become harmlessness and gentleness, I cannot cause harm. It's impossible. Imagine the world we'd live in if we all became harmlessness and gentleness and vibrated at that frequency. But in the process of becoming that, I have to awaken to the moments and the situations and the experiences that I am moving through where I lack harmlessness and gentleness. And you may be thinking, well, I don't cause harm. I help people. I love people. I love animals. I don't cause harm. Be careful. Be careful. These are enlightened vibrational frequencies. If you are not vibrating at that frequency, you are causing harm in some way. Period. End. This is how energetics work. The byproduct of lack is to create more lack. The byproduct of not being harmlessness and gentleness is to cause harm. You're one or the other. Period. End. Which means, what food do I choose to put into my body? Guess where addictions come from? If I am not vibrating at harmlessness and gentleness, I'm going to struggle with my addictions and recovering from them, healing them, completely getting rid of them. A lot of addictions, if people would evolve enough to become the level of harmlessness and gentleness and vibrate at that frequency, guess what? You wouldn't harm yourself, which means you couldn't harm other people as a byproduct of your addictions. You wouldn't be addicted to porn. You wouldn't be cheating on your spouse and lying, because harmlessness and gentleness means you don't cause harm. You don't cause mental harm. You don't cause emotional harm. You don't cause physical harm, and you don't cause spiritual harm, meaning harm to somebody's soul, yours or someone else's. So if you lack harmlessness and gentleness, you are going to cause harm in some way. You are going to be inconsiderate. You're going to interrupt, not care, not talk, or receive somebody in the way of presence. If they're talking to you and they're very upset and you're like, let me just fix it. Here's how you fix it. If you cannot be harmlessness and gentleness, you're not vibrating there yet. That means you're causing harm in some way. The trick is, what way of oneness am I lacking? What harm am I causing? Why am I eating this? Why am I drinking this? Why am I behaving in this way? Your addictions, I'm going to go back to that. If you're addicted to porn and you're still acting out, and especially if you're in a relationship or a partnership or a marriage, and that's how you're showing up, of course you're causing harm to your relationship. Guess what? Harmlessness and gentleness is number 8. But guess what? You have to become vibrationally first in order to become harmlessness and gentleness. The way of truth, that's number 4. So if you're lying about what you're doing, sneaking around, indulging in your addictions, you're harming your partner, you're harming your relationship, you're harming yourself, you're out of control. You don't have control over yourself. You're a slave to your addictions, not because you're not powerful enough. It's because you are disconnected from your energetic power. You're disconnected from your energetic power. The way of connection is number 6. If you are not the way of connection vibrationally, energetically, you'll never elevate to be the way of harmlessness and gentleness. So you're always going to cause harm. If you're disconnected, you haven't yet become the vibrational frequency, this level of oneness consciousness. This is an enlightened level of living and being. If you're disconnected from your divine power, that is an internal job and process that you have to learn to go through. If you're disconnected, you are not the way of connection. You have to learn how to connect to your divine power. That becomes your process. That becomes your practice in order to heal yourself enough and elevate enough to go to the next level higher and the next level higher until you can achieve the vibrational frequency of harmlessness and gentleness. When you achieve that vibrational frequency, it is impossible to cause harm. You literally can't. You cannot cause harm anymore to yourself or to anybody else. But that is a process and a practice, and it isn't something that takes a week or a month to achieve. It is a becoming. It is a becoming. This is how energetics work. If I am not harmlessness and gentleness, I am causing harm in some way. Am I willing to see, elevate, learn how I'm causing harm and transform and alchemize that by choosing to become these enlightened vibrational frequencies? The 20 Universal Ways of Oneness. Grab that book on Amazon, learn about them. Go visit mastersofselfuniversity.com if you want to learn more.